can help her, Mr.
I let you.
Hey, get in here. Dallas is about to start.
Welcome to the Ewing Barbecue, where we talk about Dallas. My name is Mary.
And I'm Sarah.
And I'm Josh.
And I'm Melanie. Oh my
Hey
God,
guys.
Josh, you didn't have a extended opening today. What the heck?
Because I want to keep you on your toes. I want to do the unexpected.
All right.
Yes, you never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
That's true.
Same here.
But I know what's going in my mouth, and it's a little bit of J.R. Ewing bourbon, as per usual.
Nice. I'm going to have a wee bit of wine tonight.
That's what the grape said when he got stepped on.
Me as well. I'm having my regular Pinot Grigio.
And I'm doing one of my weird beers. Tonight is a New England IPA called You're a Towel from Divine Barrel in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Nice.
Want to get high?
That's exactly it. Towley from South Park.
Yeah.
You're a towel.
Melanie, the queen of the weird beers.
Oh, but they're so good, Josh.
Yeah, weird beers are good.
I've got the one I'm going to have after this is called Push It.
Push it
Real good.
Uh-huh. It's supposed to be a push pop beer, but it's made with like, oh my God, what is it? Like peach, lactose, something else, and pastry cream.
Ooh.
Anything peach I love.
It's ultra pasteurized, so when I crack it open, I have to drink it like within an hour.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, it's better than those cheap beers that look like urine.
Very true. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm guilty of that.
Beers.
Yeah. So, I got housekeeping.
Wait.
Okay.
I got housekeeping. So we have a slew of birthdays here.
All right.
Today, John Beck is 78. Mark Grayson.
Which is January 28th, by the way.
Yes, January 28th, which is the 35th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Challenger. But
that means I'm going to be 35 this year. Thanks.
oof. Susan Howard is 77, or Jerry Lynn Mooney, as her birth name is.
My favorite.
Yay!
Yesterday, the 27th, Kathy Podwell, despite Internet Movie Database and a lot of sites saying January 26th, it's actually January 27th. She turned 57.
Okay.
Donna Reed would have been 100 yesterday.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay. And Mark Singer, who played Matt Cantrell.
Matt Cantrell.
73, tomorrow, the 29th.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, I have to add one, and only one person on here knows this person, but Mary, today is Aaron's birthday. And that's our best friend. And
Aaron
if I
Hatchett.
never,
I saw your post, yeah.
yes, if Aaron would not have gone with me to the 30th, because I didn't have anybody to go, and I basically made her go, and my ex-husband bought her plane ticket and all that because he wanted me to go. So if she would not have been the friend she was and went with me, I never would have met Mary and Will, and then I never would have met Josh. Right. See? Everything happens for a reason. Yes.
And a Dallas fan from Ireland, Sarah Wilson's birthday was January 27th. And
yesterday, yes, it was.
All right. So tonight,
dun dun dun,
reviewing season 3, episode 22, Jocks Trial Part 1.
We both know what's been happening to us. I've been falling in love with you, and you've been falling in love with me.
If you feel you have to leave JR, then do it. But do it in the open. Don't try and play his game, hon. He's too good at it.
But what about little John?
That's a choice you may have to make.
This is Cliff Barnes, Dallas DA's office.
What's up?
I want to talk to you about the homicide on South Fork.
I have to arrest you in connection with the murder of one Hutchinson McKinney.
Dun dun dun.
It was written by Arthur Bernard Lewis, directed by Irving J. Moore, and aired February 22nd, 1980.
Okay, and what do we got in casting notes here? We have Nicholas Coster, who played Lisa Welchell's father, David Warner, on The Facts of Life.
He's also on Santa Barbara for years.
Yes.
I know him from.
He took over the role of Lyle Sloan from Charles Seibert, who played him during the Julie Gray episodes.
Oh, that's supposed to be the same guy?
Yes.
Oh.
But Nicholas Coster also played Joe Morris in the episode Act of Love.
Making it confusing. All right.
Yes. And episode was number 16 for the week with a 36 share. And they re-aired it during a Dallas week in October of 80.
Okay.
And as part of a two-parter, and it outscored the original airing, earning a 40 share and 9th place finish.
Because they were probably airing the last few to go up to
the event. Yes.
The premiere of season.
Yes. And Dusty's parents were referenced in this episode.
Yes.
Which is interesting, but we'll get there.
Right. Okay, we'll get there.
Get there.
Okay, so we start on an establishing shot of South Fork.
And I love these early season establishing shots. You see the horses from the Duncan Ranch in the
Duncan Acres.
Yeah.
The Duncan Acres.
Duncan Acres, yeah.
Well, it's funny because when that
Dunkin'
scene
Donuts.
opened, Dunkin' Donuts, yes. When that scene opened, like, when the credits were rolling and we see the ranch, the screen, it was like the film was going. Did you guys notice that?
It was a little flicker going on there.
I said, jumpy still shots. What's going on?
Steady cam, people, steady cam.
But I which was invented for the movie Rocky to film the running scenes. Someone on the crew invented it there. Yeah.
Is that what was invented?
Yes, one of the crew members invented it just to get those running shots through Philadelphia.
I wonder if it was just a windy day and maybe the tripod wasn't even making it. But why would you wait, and why would you not wait till the wind died down or something?
Well, there are
questions for the editor.
Yeah, and we will call up the editor. But I love just the horses in the establishing shots, and especially at the front when they're running across sometimes.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Good feeling.
And then we cut to Sue Ellen pulling into the soundstage.
Yeah, which is obviously the soundstage.
Because we don't see, that's, as I keep referencing, that is the difference between on location and is the cars are not coming up the drive and pulling in. They're just pulling into the shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the soundstage.
See, when I was younger, I didn't know that. And now
I never noticed
that's what I noticed. I'm like.
Yeah.
She gets out of a cab.
Gets out of a cab and in a fabulous coat. I love her coat. It's amazing.
And I have to ask, what time of year is this supposed to take place in? Because you have her wearing the fur coat a couple times, and later in the episode when Bobby and Ray pull up in the pickup truck convertible,
It's pretty cold in February in Dallas.
Coats.
Well,
they're wearing coats too. So it's chilly out.
Weather in the South, though, Josh. I mean, February's coming up here in North Carolina, and I will tell you what, we're going to have at least one 80-degree day.
Yeah.
Last year we had a tornado around that same time.
But also, people in the South wear coats when it's in the 60s.
Yes, they do, and I don't understand that. They look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, y'all, this is not cold outside.
It was 46 here today. I had the windows open.
It was here.
I saw somebody this morning. I saw somebody driving down the road the other day, and it was probably in the 20s, and they had their convertible top down. So
I guess it's all what you're used to. It's relative, I guess.
She pulls up in the damn cab. I'm like, first of all, fabulous coat. But I was like, why is Sue Ellen in a cab? Did they take her keys?
Probably.
No,
but then
she drives her car later, so that's interesting.
In the previous episode, she said that she had been taking a cab because she had been afraid.
That's right.
Because she thought they had to trick her again to get pulled over.
Okay, that makes total sense.
But then she says that she gets out and she tells Jock and Bobby that Miss Ellie, they were like, where's Miss Ellie? And she was like, oh, she stayed behind. And I'm like, so they both took a cab in town?
Yeah, how did they get into town? Because Miss Ellie needs a ride home
So maybe they took a cab together into town, and then Miss Ellie just stayed.
Miss
Ellie, right now it seems like Miss Ellie doesn't drive. Miss Ellie drives in the future. Spoiler alert! I don't think that's a big deal.
Or White Rabbit.
She doesn't
seem to drive right now.
Was it a rabbit or a cab?
Cabriolet, whatever it is. Yeah.
Or is that the same damn car?
I think I don't know.
Okay, I don't know cars. So I don't know.
Ellie and the ladies were
Volkswagen convertible white one.
They're off to Mimosa Park.
Yeah.
And Jock wonders if Sue Ellen's been drinking.
And he's all like, I don't understand women. Because he's concerned about Sue Ellen, but he's also like, hey, I'm staying home so to hang out with your mama, and she's all gallivanting, doing other stuff. And it's like, yeah, Jock, because she has other things in her life.
She's gallivanting with the devil and Max Devlin there.
I said, damn, Jock, you have no fucking clue.
Right. I roll. Because, dude, like he at least concedes that it, like, Bobby's like, well, yeah, but it's important to her. And he's like, yeah, I guess.
Women, I just can't figure them out.
Like,
grumble, blah, blah, blah.
I can't believe she's
why
living
did
her
you
whole
dick
life for me.
Japan?
Yeah.
Why did you dick the pan about having a life?
Sue Ellen said that she also had an appointment at Dr. Danvers. So she left the meeting and went to Dr. Danvers.
He was all like, are you all right, Sue Ellen? I'm like, women can't ever go to the doctors? Jesus. Like, every time she went to the doctor, like, before she was pregnant and everything, they were like, is everything okay? Right. What is she going to say? Dude, I just had a pap smear. All right. Is that what you want to
hear?
Dr. Pap
you really want to know that?
Like, do you want to know about the speculum and the cotton swabs? Because I can get into all kind of detail, Jock.
How much do you want to know?
Jock, do you want to know about endometriosis? No.
He does not want to know about endometriosis because
he doesn't. I can tell you that Jock does not want to know that.
He does not.
I got lots of horror stories.
Jock, in this episode, Jock Ewing comes across as a grumpy or curmudgeonly old man.
A curmudgeon.
That's kind of spot on with Jock. That's why we love him, I think, is because he's a curmudgeonly old man. I don't think that's
And I would have liked to have really seen the progression in the middle years. Here we go back to a middle years series of how he just evolved from the young wildcatter into the curmudgeonly old man that doesn't understand women.
What the hell is this word? Say the word again.
Curmudgeon.
I've never heard that word before.
Really? I used it as a verb. I don't think it's a verb, but I like to make words.
My mother had never heard the word montage until this week.
Montage? That's my job. So montages.
I said, did you sit through the movie Rocky? Famous montages. The training montage.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Curmudgeon. What does that mean? Like grumpy old man?
Curmudgeon.
Yeah, grumpy old man. Like a lovable, grumpy old man. That's a curmudgeon.
That's what they used to call, like, that's how they described Fred Mertz.
Yes.
As a curmudgeon.
Which, when I watched Miracle on 34th Street for the first time, I don't know why I've avoided all these years.
Bill Frawley was in it, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. I stopped and I go, that's Fred Mertz.
It sure was.
And he and Vivian Vance hated each other, actually, off screen.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
They could not stand each other.
I think she was just like pissed because she was supposed to be his wife and he was like so much older than her.
That was part of it, and he heard and he like took offense instead of being like, ha ha ha, you old bat, you know, he got all pissed off and started taking it out on her. Yeah. And there was some, after I Love Lucy ended and the Arnazes divorced, he was quoted in some newspaper article saying something about Vivian Vance, like, she's one of the finest gals to come out of Kansas, but I often wish she'd go back there. She doesn't know where I am. I don't know where she is. And that's just the way I like it.
Damn.
And then 6 years later, he was dead.
Right.
That reminds me of the actor.
They did not like each other, but
the actor of Jay Thomas.
Really?
Do you know the actor Jay Thomas, who played Eddie LeBeck on Cheers?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carla's husband.
Yeah.
He was overheard somewhere between the 7th and the 8th season on a radio show saying, oh, yeah, the worst part of the job is I have to kiss Rhea Perlman. He was fired and his character was killed off screen when he was run over by a Zamboni.
Right. Like, what are you going to... Yeah, don't fuck with that.
And then he went on the Murphy Brain. Then he ended up on Murphy.
Another famous couple that did not... Well, not couple, but... pair was Moonlighting, Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd.
Oh God,
I love Moonlighting.
Actually, I have a friend who's writing a book about like the making of Moonlighting, so I'm really excited to read.
Really?
You know what else I read was that on Bewitched, Elizabeth Montgomery did not care for Dick York, Darren number 1.
Really?
She did not like him.
He's my preferred Darren.
I know, right? She was like friends with Dick Sargent. Okay. And she absolutely adored him, but Dick York, I had no idea because they acted so well together.
Yeah,
she didn't really like him because
of course, she was married to Robert Foxworth, the first choice to play J.R. Ewing.
That was marriage number 4.
Yes.
And that marriage only took place after they had been together for like 20 years.
Yes. So, and
she didn't want to get after 3 marriages. She didn't want to get married again.
He is the widower.
Yes, he is. She died way too young.
Yes, she did.
Mm-hmm.
She had colon cancer, and they didn't catch it till it was too late. Like she died 6 weeks after they caught it. Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. Of all the people I would have liked to talk to that died, she's one of them.
For sure.
So we head over to the DA's office.
Yes. Cliff's office. He has so many papers in his office. I feel like this is just a show he's busy.
Yes.
Lots of papers.
And
it's like, I have all this work to do.
Lyle Sloan with a different face, and we did not change actors at the airport for one of the first times.
Sure.
All I put is Cliff is pissed.
We can tell that there is tension between them, and we learn that it's because he was the one that was trying to put Cliff in jail for Julie Gray's murder.
Right. He's like, you're not still sore that I tried to put you in jail for murder, are you? And Cliff's like, yeah. And he's like, you just got to get over that shit. I'm like,
just a little bit.
I think it's okay to have a little bit of like be mad about it for a while. It hasn't been that long.
And he hands him the file about the body on South Fork.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
He is obviously he knows that Cliff hates the Ewings, so he's gonna.
Right. And he also makes the whole thing where he's like, well, your job entails you to go after people, and sometimes you're going to be right, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. And by the way, here's a dead body on South Fork.
But later in the episode, he's telling him, we've got other cases that are, fresh.
He's like, we just had a homicide yesterday.
Right. Fresh murder cases because it's Dallas.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I wanted to be like, dude, just because somebody died yesterday doesn't mean that whoever's family from 25, 30 years ago doesn't deserve some kind of closure.
That's true. Right. What they need is a cold case.
They need a cold case unit.
I love cold cases.
So, but Sloan cannot. You opened the door here, Sloan. You handed him. He knows
what he's doing.
Right, you handed him this file.
Right.
And then you turn around later in the episode and say, you can't keep dragging our resources for a 25, 30-year-old case when we've got fresh cases.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
And that's something I put like later on in the notes. Like, I don't know why I put it later on, but I said, what the fuck, Lyle? Did he bury himself too?
Right.
Like he was like, he could have been a drifter. He could have died accidentally, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, did he like get a shovel and bury himself after he got shot? I mean,
that's true.
What I'm getting from this is like, this death is questionable as fuck and everybody knows it, but no one wants to deal with the Ewings. So everyone's just like,
right.
And that's
what I thought too.
They're like, a guy turned up dead and buried for years on South Fork. Fuck. We bailed out these guys, I don't know how many times. They know how dirty JR is. They're like, okay, 30 years ago, he was a kid, but what about daddy? Did he have any dealings? We know
it's a can of worms they don't want to open.
I mean, they have corrupt politicians like Wild Bill Orloff on the take there back in the old days.
Wild Bill Orloff. I hate that.
Wild Bill. That just sounds it's so cliche. If you want to have an
fun
outlaw,
to say. It's so fun
outlaw in Texas, Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
All right, Mimosa Park.
And my question is like, is Miss Ellie holding a protest? Because it looks like a protest, and I'm here for it.
The sign in the background, Devlin Rancheros.
Yeah, Devlin Ranchos. Okay.
That's like that made me chuckle when I saw the sign.
Right.
Like, is it Ranchos?
Ranchos.
Not like Huervos Rancheros or whatever. The eggs with the weird Mexican.
It reminded me of Rancho Rosa from Twin Peaks season 3. But that's just me. Anyway.
Oh yes.
And Matt Devlin is kind of pissed about it, and
every time I would hear his name, I would always think of the movie The Devil and Max Devlin. Because it was Matt Devlin.
Yeah, Matt Devlin, he's like Jenna Whedon. They always say his whole name, Matt Devlin. It's never just Matt. It's never just Devlin. It's Matt Devlin. Yeah. And he's just like, hey, what are you doing on my property? And Miss Elle's like, it ain't your property yet. And,
right, because first they're talking to Mr. Labella of the Planning Commission about trying to get him over on their side to stop the development, and then he says he'll go see what he can do, blah blah blah, and leaves. I think these scenes with Ellie and Matt are just they're going around in circles. They're just repeating themselves.
They are repeating themselves, but it turns out they're getting to something.
They're getting to something, but it's
slow to get there. And I think it's just to have something else going on, honestly.
That's the problem. It's too slow.
There is a lot going on in this episode. They're spinning a lot of plates.
Right. They are.
Because the season is winding down. There's 4 episodes left, including this one.
That's very true.
Originally, there were 2, but it was going to end after the trial.
Okay.
And CBS ordered 2 more episodes.
Wow. That's fate stepping in right there.
Right. And I will, when we talk about the trial part 2, I'll bring up for everybody what the original ending of the season was.
Oh, I would.
Okay, and then let me ask you: but was it supposed to be ending like cliffhanger Jock's trial, and then they decided to add 2 episodes? Kind of. You don't have to say it, but
yeah, the part 2 was supposed to be the end, and the scene that I'll tell you about next time.
Okay.
Was the end scene,
okay.
But I won't talk about it right now.
Okay,
and I like that they added 2 more episodes because they had some unfinished business.
That's why we're here. I don't think we'd be here if there weren't 2 more episodes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I don't think we'd be here if they killed Bobby Ewing off after the miniseries.
Exactly. But Matt Devlin is
Matt Devlin.
All I read about this entire scene was,
and she's like, yeah, I don't really want to fight anymore, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to fight either, but I think we have some other stuff we could talk about. And she's like,
right, she turns down. She doesn't go to lunch with Marilee and what's her name, Brad.
The other ladies.
Yeah, the other ladies. Laura Bradley.
Linda Bradley.
Linda Bradley. Yes. So he's going to drive her back to South Fork.
Watercrackers.
There's just a lot of posturing going on between these 2.
Yeah, there's something going on, and Miss Ellie seems not sure about it, but she's also like not against it either. She just is like, okay, you can give me a ride home. That's fine. As long as we don't fight, it's fine.
Right, and she's obviously she's a one-track mind here. She wants to stop the park.
She's all about just stopping the park.
And their scenes keep reinforcing the history of Miss Ellie's family and her father loving the land and hating the oil men and why she ended up with Jock and
And I get that they're putting all that in there, but it is kind of going round and round and round.
Right.
Yeah, because that scene comes up at the office later in the episode.
True.
Yeah.
Then we go to Kristen and JR's
at the condo with that exterior shot that is going to resurface over the course of the series.
Very true.
The establishing shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of you. So Kristen shows up JR's in bed. Kristen's wearing negligee, and she has like a tray, and she's like, sorry.
Caviar and Triscuits.
The only thing I have in the kitchen is caviar. She has like caviar and champagne. It's like 2 p.m.
Who the fuck has caviar in their refrigerator?
And I'm just like, girl, what are you trying to do even?
And do you eat that crap on Triscuits, or do you eat it on like Melba toast or something like that? I mean,
I've never
friggin' Triscuits.
Right.
Yeah.
But JR is harsh, and he said, when you learned all the ways to please a man, you got an A in the bedroom, but flunked the kitchen. Ooh.
Which means you're a whore. I'm kidding.
Like, it's harsh, dude. And she's like,
right.
well,
that is. But he's getting harsher and harsher.
And honestly, what's the one thing that JR values more than sex in his personal life? It's food.
And booze.
And food.
Booze.
Oh, booze. Yeah. I just remember all the stuff about JR doesn't miss a meal, or all the things they said about JR loving his food. Do you guys remember that, or am I crazy?
No, there was something.
I feel like they made a reference to his love of food.
Yeah, I was eating fancy restaurants, so I went without it.
Yeah.
Or his breakfast, or something like that. I don't know. I just
a lot of scrambled eggs for breakfast.
Yeah.
Right.
Bloody Marys.
And Kristen says, well, I would gladly work in the, learn the kitchen for him and stuff like that. And I can just picture her in her skimpy dress in the kitchen trying to fry
with
an
an apron all naked.
And he's just like, yeah, I can't picture that.
just wearing an apron and nothing else.
Also, I'm pretty sure Hagman was tipsy in this scene. He has the
glassy eyes.
Glassy eyes.
Yeah.
That's right. But he's stressing patience, and she wants to get into South Fork right now and become Mrs. J.R. Ewing.
He's like, you got to be patient. She's like, no, I don't.
It's like, whoa. How's that going to look with the parents and this and that?
She's like, I don't give a fuck. Make it happen.
It's gonna look exactly like what it is.
Yes, it will.
Yes.
Yeah, opportunist little
bitch.
Tell us how you really feel.
Whatever. I mean, yeah, that's what she is.
You're not wrong.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's JR. He's convenient. It's Sue Ellen's husband. She wants to stick it to her, and she just happened to fall for a guy who's rich. You know what? I'm sure if it wasn't JR, it would be another guy just like him.
How are we going to get her to take that first drink, JR?
Right. Like, that's so sketch, guys. Stop.
You conniving bitch.
You conniving bitch.
You conniving bitch.
There, we've all said it.
Again, hold on. You conniving bitch.
You conniving little bitch.
Now he says it like a southerner. Good show, sir.
And then Ellie arrives
Cheerio.
with Matt at South Fork. And
a Southern Brit.
She's carrying that umbrella. I didn't see rain at all.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
It's a parasol.
Matt and Jock greet each other, and it seems really like friendly. And then Jock gets this like super suspicious look on his face afterwards.
Yeah. Ray, he and Ray were going over bills or something about feed or something like that. And, just to remind everybody that they do run a ranch and that Ray does exist. Hi.
Yeah, hi, I'm still here.
Ray Krebs here
right now, but
what's up?
Ray Krebs here. Steve Canale. Hello. Hi. How are you?
Please leave a message at the beep.
Like, I'm not currently obsessed with a lady, so I don't have a storyline. All right, bye.
Right. Yeah. Just to remind everyone that I am here. Yes. And Jock. Jock's good. And Ellie goes, well, I needed a ride home. Yeah, which reminded me, we talked about it earlier. How the hell did she get into town again?
She and Sue Ellen. Yeah. I think they just called the cab.
Because Sarah's favorite vehicle was probably sitting in the driveway. Oh, yes, when they pulled up.
That fucking wagon?
The driver almost bumped the friggin' wagon. He hates the damn thing. Right. He pulled up like within an inch of the bumper, the rear bumper of the wagon. I was like, is he going to hit it? Is he going to hit it? Do it. Put it out of its misery.
And then the next scene starts out with a lot of drama. Sue Ellen is throwing shit at JR as he walks in. And this is that scene where they talk about Christmas.
Christmas does exist.
It's like Sue Ellen, you're gonna hurt somebody. It's like that's not what you care about.
I got that perfume for you for Christmas. It was $200 an ounce. Like, damn.
That's expensive, isn't it?
In 1980.
Yeah.
What the hell?
How many ounces are in a perfume bottle?
1, 2.
I don't like perfume. I can't wear perfume, so.
Isn't it made with?
Usually, you want me to go check? I'll go check.
Isn't it made with like whale vomit?
I don't know. If it's like really expensive, there's something to do with something like that.
I hope not.
Or whale semen or something.
Yeah, because what is it?
What? Whale semen? Am I wearing whale semen?
No. It was.
Do you like that? Whale semen. I mean, I don't know if that's free.
Ambergris. And people have found it on a beach, and then they don't know what it is, and they keep it, and they end up finding out it's worth like $500,000 a chunk because it's used in expensive perfumes.
Well, let's keep our eyes out for that.
2 to 4 ounces. 2 to 4 ounces, depending on the size.
It's like a $500 bottle of.
So he spent
in 1980.
$500.
So that's like $600 today. Perfume, probably. That's not real math.
I know you only go like this. I just don't like perfume. So.
Oh, I love perfume. I love some.
I was like, that
I
shit
love
better
to smell
have
it. I just
like
can't wear it.
Pheromones and shit like that. I mean, it had to have like some kind of sex attractant in it.
Right. All the pheromones.
It's
what got Dusty.
What is it? Sex Panther. It works.
Basically. Sex Panther.
Sex, 60% of the time, it works every time.
I'll be right back. I'm going to get a refill.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are we?
Yeah, so,
okay,
she's.
I have a problem paying like $60 for a bottle of Dolce and Gabbana. I can't justify $600 on a bottle of perfume.
Well,
I can't.
you don't have the money that the Ewings have either.
That's true. If I had the money, I'd spend it. If I had the money, I'd do it.
I don't. It's like last week when I was at Potent Potables, guy pulled up in a Lamborghini, and I was like, can't justify that kind of money on a car, dude. Sorry.
It's like it's like people I know that spend $200 on a pair of jeans. I'm going, no, I'm just going to Target and grabbing a pair of jeans. I'm not.
I buy my perfume from a place called Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab, and it just comes in little bottles. And it's not, you don't spray it, you put it on you, and it's like a little tiny bottle for like $20.
That sounds right. I get mine on fragrance net.
For a pair of jeans. I spent $200 on a pair of skis, poles, and boots.
I'm trying to think of the thing I spend money on. The thing that I will spend money on now is shoes.
Porn. No.
No, that's free. You can just get it free.
Really? No.
The internet, man.
Really?
Qu'est-ce que
Have
c'est
you never
internet?
heard of RedTube?
Qu'est-ce que c'est internet?
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Qu'est-ce que c'est porn? What?
Corn? What? So Sue Ellen's throwing the stuff around, and she said that Teresa had someone had come through the room looking through her stuff, and JR said Teresa had come through looking for the booze, and she is freaking pissed.
She's not a happy girl.
She's not going down to dinner either.
And then she accuses him of the exact thing he's trying to do, which is like prove that she's drinking and send her back to the sanitarium. And he's just like, no, you're paranoid. And she's like, no, I figured everything out because she has.
She has. She's not as stupid as he's making her out to be.
Right.
So.
Lucy is getting a
Lucy,
phone
where's she
call.
been hiding? Wait, what? Why is it whenever somebody comes down the stairs in that area and the phone rings, it's always for that person? Almost
always.
It is always. Yeah, you're right.
And in these next couple scenes, Lucy is basically playing the family's secretary and answering the phone.
It's true because they don't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
Except for have her go on a date with her goddamn professor. Jesus Christ, Lucy.
Right. Yes.
Poor Lucy.
No. Call me Greg. Her professor.
Call me Greg because we're not in class. Like, so sketch. Don't do it.
They're
Very
getting chummy.
sketchy.
And it was kind of last minute, but she's like, I'm going to have dinner with my family and blah, blah, blah. And the family's in the next room. They don't hear this phone call or they just don't care.
No, they never listen unless they need to.
Yeah, it's like, bah, 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 bah.
It's also Lucy, so they don't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
They're
it's
just
like
playing
Jan Brady syndrome. It's like,
Right.
Yeah. Really.
Marcia.
Right.
Then JR is in the next room trying to push his plan forward. Like he's trying to rush it. So he's like, so I think that we should put Sue Ellen in a sanitarium. FYI.
And Bobby comes to her defense.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
No. And Ellie's like, no, we just need to wait and see what happens. Yeah, wait and see what happens. She's going to end up in the goddamn bottle, but if you don't, someone that doesn't get in the middle of this mess.
Right. And so JR realizes like, okay, I guess I can't fast forward this plan.
Right. And Lucy is obviously too busy answering telephones to come up with any of her snide comments.
That's true. We could have used one right here.
Yes. Just like we could have used one when Sue Ellen pulled out the reports in the last episode.
Yep.
But
another phone call.
And it's Cliff for Pam. And it's weird hearing Cliff talking to Lucy because they never really interacted.
That's very true.
It would have been interesting if they had had a relationship at some point. Imagine if how that would have gone down with JR.
A bit of an age difference, but that's not a thing for Dallas.
yeah, that still grosses me out. I was thinking about that.
Well, she slept with Ray. And
You're not wrong. Yes, you're right. You're right. What am I saying?
And Ken Kercheval did audition for the role of Ray Krebs.
Right. You're right. I'm right.
and she's going after Greg Forrester,
Her professor, right?
Her professor.
This girl has daddy issues, but whatever.
She really does.
She's come off the beam skin rug.
Yep.
So gross.
Yeah.
So Cliff calls Pam on the phone and says Digger's back from Galveston, but he's been drinking.
Right. So she leaves for Cliff's, and there's just looks from the family, but no comments.
Right. I said that like JR and Miss Ellie both kind of look a little sad. Like mostly Miss Ellie does kind of look like really sad about it, but JR looks seriously like thirsty for it. He's like, oh yeah, he's drinking.
Well, yeah, Jock and Ellie look sad. JR looks like he's.
Oh, did I say JR?
Yeah, you said JR.
Sorry. My bad. Jock. That wouldn't make sense. So yes, my bad. Jock and Miss Ellie look really sad, and JR does not.
JR's like, ooh. Another Barnes going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Ugh.
So Digger has trashed Cliff's looking for booze and then passed out.
Yeah. So then Pam goes over there and it's no good.
Apparently he was fired down in Galveston. Cliff blaming the Ewings as usual.
Yep.
But Pam goes, well, you filled Daddy's head with all this stuff about you and success and this and that. Right.
Filled your head with the great man that you are going to be. Ouch, Pam.
Ow. So you're almost as much to blame as Jock, JR, and all the...
Right. But Cliff doesn't want to hear that. He's just like, no. It's their fault, and now I'm going to seek revenge upon them.
Right.
Right.
And he goes out and calls Fenton Washburn to...
Fenton Washburn. What a name.
Set up a meeting. That idiot Barnes.
Yeah.
And if you watch this episode on Amazon Prime, who watches it on Amazon?
I watch it on the DVDs because I'm
okay. I watched it on Amazon. It was, instead of 3 commercial breaks, it was 1 commercial about 2/3 of the way through the episode.
Oh, weird.
But they still had the fade to black and then fade back up.
Yeah.
So this is where the commercial was. We come back to breakfast at the ranch. Yeah. Yeehaw! How much food actually gets eaten at these breakfasts? I want to know.
True. And is it always just scrambled eggs? I feel like it is. We should start paying attention to that. Like, what are they eating?
Do they just move it around their plate, or do they actually eat it?
Right.
So yeah.
But Lucy asks how Digger is, and Pam is like, "Well, he's sick, but thank you for asking."
Mean, you drunk? It's more like it.
So there's a lot of that going around here.
Oh, JR.
Hey, JR. Jesus.
All right, Mary, say it.
Fuck you, JR. Also, I think he just needs his own stand-up routine because he's really good with these zingers.
He and Lucy should do a comedy night.
They really should. I think they'd make some bank.
Oh, and if they just had, what is it? Like an insult battle, like they've done with celebrities.
Roasting. They need a roasting.
Or they had like a rap off. We're gonna have like a rap.
Well, no, they had some.
I would pay for that.
They had some insult thing. I remember seeing it once. It was Danielle Fishel Topanga from Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World against Jonathan Lipnicki. And they were throwing down insults at each other.
Nice.
Not a rap battle, but almost like a roast battle.
Yeah. I'd still pay for that. Jock wants to spend the day hanging out with Ellie, but Ellie's like,
what is his wonderful day that he has planned?
I don't know. He always seems to have that plan only when she has another plan. And she's like, well, I'd like to, but I have plans with Matt Devlin, so I can't.
It's kind of like JR waltzing up to Sue Ellen and being like, hey, I thought we'd take a ride to Jefferson, see the sights. And she's like,
no.
What? Right.
Maybe if you had tried that like 3 years ago, we might be on a different page now, buddy. But
maybe before you screwed half of the women in Dallas.
Too little, too late.
And then this time, JR gives her shit about it too. He's like, what? Well, Daddy's home and he wants to hang out with you. And she's like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, rain check maybe tomorrow.
Oh,
let's make a plan.
All the times you come home and want to spend time with your wife? Fuck
no,
you.
Mimosa Park is more important.
It's like Pam with Bobby. Like, okay, that sounds great, but let's make a plan for that because I already fucking made my own plan.
Like the time Bobby would go into the store and want to take Pam out, and she's like, Bobby, she's actually working. Right. You've turned her away when you're working. She's working.
That's wrong.
They don't value women's time.
No, the whole show's like that.
Yeah, and what kind of a job would Pam have? Because there are episodes where she just walks out in the middle of her shift, and
I know she would totally be fired in real life, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like that day that she went to the doctor's appointment, she didn't even come to work. Like she didn't call and say like I'm gonna be late or anything.
Right.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah. But
totally
Ellie's going to drive into town with Pam. There she is, not driving again.
She's not driving right now.
Oh, Ellie. I know Liz Taylor did not get a driver's license till she was 54.
I think it's a similar situation.
Maybe so, but it's fucking weird.
I would have loved to have seen Ellie taking driving lessons.
That would have been great. I would have loved that.
Driving Miss Ellie.
Yeah.
Driving Miss Ellie.
I am all about this next scene, though, because this is Cliff getting into the murder, and I'm a true crime fan. Like, I love all the podcasts and the shows, and I feel like Cliff, like, these shows are not on yet, but I feel like, based on these scenes, that Cliff would be a fan of Unsolved Mysteries and Forensic Files.
I love Unsolved Mysteries and Forensic Files.
And Fenton is going at him. He is trying to shut him down.
Right, because he knows. He's like, dude, this is going after the Ewings. I don't want a part of that at all.
I'm basically sheriff because of them, and you're not going to. Yeah.
This is making me nervous.
No. I don't want to have to lose my job and come back as JR's attorney in another 20 years. But it becomes
clear really quickly that they haven't done any investigating really, because Cliff is like, well, what about, look at this buckle. This buckle's worth a lot of money and it has like initials on it. Have you like cross-checked this with their records?
And what we got, the body is 25 to 30 years old. Mm-hmm. Why is Fenton keeping the effects in the bottom of his cabinet in his office and not in a locked up place?
That's a really good point.
Because it's all shady.
Yeah, because it's all shady.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
It's the Ewings.
Yeah.
Right. HM from RB is in graves on the buckle. Who's HM? Who's RB?
Yeah,
who is this? What the hell?
And he has the point. Sheriff isn't doing what he needs to do.
He's not doing his job.
Because
everybody's scared of him.
Because it would put him in conflict with the Ewings and potentially cost him his job.
Yep.
And out he would go. Mm-hmm. And the Ewings need their man in Braddock County.
Yes.
And sheriffs are elected officials, so he'll just back somebody else and get him out.
Yep.
Right. Now, it's from Dallas. He's in the Dallas, and Braddock is a different county. Is there?
They have county sheriffs. Sheriffs.
Can the Dallas DAs go into another county and?
If it's a murder, homicide, I'm pretty sure. I think if it's like a regular crime, but if it's a homicide, then
Braddock might be so small, like they don't have their own DA, like department.
There you go.
You know, because it seems like Braddock's like a little tiny thing, and Dallas is the bigger.
Cliff says they need to figure out who HM is, so they need the employment records from South Fork. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a robbery because the belt buckle was worth money.
Right. Yeah.
So they want the records, and Fenton gets up in Barnes' face and goes, well, you're going to need a court order.
And motherfucker pulls it out right there. He was ready for it.
Score one, Barnes. Score one for Barnes.
Mm-hmm. Go Cliff. And then there's a little throwaway scene right after that where Ray thinks.
Oh well, I like the
throwaway scene.
I like the end of the scene here because Cliff goes, "Can I use your phone?" And as Fenton's walking out, he goes, "Maybe they should put your name on the door too." And then Cliff calls the professor of anthropology. Is it SMU? I don't know where. They didn't say where. Did they?
They didn't say.
Wilbur Calder, and he wants to meet him at the morgue in 2 hours.
Right.
True crime.
True crime. Loving it.
Yeah. I love true crime.
Okay, then the little quick scene where Ray thinks Bobby is spreading himself too thin by going into the office and also doing ranch stuff.
And that's the thick jackets that they're wearing to
you're
indicate.
Right. Yeah.
And the pickup truck convertible that they're driving, which is not the same white pickup truck Ray has a few seasons later.
It's not?
Is that
because that has the solid top. It's not a convertible.
Okay.
Gotcha. But didn't they switch not too long ago?
Well, Ray had the blue one in the early episodes that he and Lucy were porking away while he was driving the car, and he had to pull over on the side there.
So gross.
Yeah, that was the blue sex truck.
Yeah, gross.
So then they wanted Ray to be pure, so they gave him the white pickup truck to indicate a clean slate. Yeah,
pure.
So Sue Ellen is playing outside with John Ross, and you can totally tell this is a set. So like I feel like you can even hear like an echo on the set.
And she's still calling him Little John.
Yeah, they randomly go between John Ross and Little John. Like, just stick with John Ross.
That's like one of my biggest pet peeves. Yeah. I cannot stand that. Ugh.
And he stops crying once Bobby approaches.
I mean, I would too.
And Bobby's saying, "Can you say Uncle Bobby?" And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, he's going to be saying that. He's going to be saying that plenty in the future. I'll tell you, yeah. Uncle Bobby.
The baby's like 8 months old. He can't. Has he even spoken his first word yet? He does, but later. But I'm like, no, he can't say Uncle Bob. I mean, he was kidding.
Yeah.
Like, no, I feel like I would be so sarcastic compared to Sue Ellen if that was, but I'd be like, no, he can't say Uncle Bobby.
I think Sue Ellen's too emotionally distraught too.
His first word's probably going to be oil, right?
Well, that's what they said, right? And they're not wrong.
Well, JR said his first words are going to be, "Where's Mama?" Well, I'm like, you got that half right.
That's true. They're true.
But just hearing him say, "Can you say Uncle Bobby?" I'm thinking far down the line, the future is, we're going to be hearing a lot of Uncle Bobby in the future.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Sue Ellen, like she's real with Bobby, and she's just like, I'm not drinking. I need someone on my side. Will you be on my side? And he reassures her that
always
he
been
is.
on your side.
Yeah.
And this is another great scene that really accentuates the friendship between Linda and Patrick.
But Bobby tells her that, because she's like kind of telling him a little bit of her plans, which she always tells everyone her plans. But he says, you shouldn't try to play JR's games because he's too good at it. And that is solid advice.
Right. Do it out in the open if you're going to leave him. And
yeah.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, I thought you and JR were getting on so well." I'm like, dude, did you not just see him like try to throw punches at him in the living room last week? Like, no, they're not getting on so well. What the
Bobby?
If that's getting on well, I'd hate to see if they're not getting on well.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, did you think that was all an act so they could just like go upstairs and have angry sex or something? I mean, no, that's not what. Look at Sarah.
No, but
that's not what happened. She was like legit.
That's how Little John was conceived. That's how Little John was conceived, through angry sex.
Oh, I know.
I guess.
But he tells her that she may have to choose between leaving and her baby.
Which, I mean, is real, but also awful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hate it.
I hate it.
Yeah, that was just kind of like a little bit of a dagger.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable.
Then we switch to Matt Devlin's place.
And this is another Matt Devlin and Miss Ellie going around in circles again.
Also more super ugly couches.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's telling the whole thing again. He's like, how did you end up with Jock? You guys are so opposite. Blah, blah, blah.
Hasn't she already told him this story repeatedly?
A million times. He's just trying to make it a thing. Like, you guys are mismatched.
Right. And who on the crew had a relative that needed to get in front of the camera, so they brought in a secretary to just hand them something to sign? Was that necessary?
Well,
it that way.
Was that like a win a walk-on role on the show?
That's what I wanted. Like, because I remember they used to have those like win a walk-on role on Dallas.
I would love to do that.
Like, I feel like Miss Ellie in this is kind of feeling. She seems like she's a little uncomfortable with something that's happening, but she's also sort of going with it at the same time. There's a weird, like, he's like, "Hey, let's hang out," and she's like, and she's like, "I don't know,"
but
and then he's like, "Come on, do it," and then she's like, "Okay." So there's something going on here. So the sheriff shows up and he's just like, "Hey, sorry guys, but I gotta like get your employment records from like 25, 30 years ago."
Well, for the last 10 to 15 years, we've had them over at such and such a place. But Ray goes, "Oh, well, might be in some ledgers in the shed." Yeah, great place to keep your.
Right. Yeah, Jock's just like, "I don't think we have those at all, so you gotta go. Bye." And then Ray's like, "Actually, we do. But they're in this random place," and Jock's like,
some random shed. I mean, that's a great place to keep your old old records. And yeah, as Ray had the feed bags in the back of the truck, and there were 2 random balls floating in the pool in the background as they.
Oh.
Yes. Details.
Yeah. Weird.
That's the funny thing. When we watch to go through and take notes, you start picking up on little.
Yep.
I'm like, did they not clean out? Did the Duncans forget to take the balls out of the pool before they let them film that? Oh no, that was a soundstage.
Oh yeah. And then there's a quick scene. Pam goes to Cliff's and she finds Digger passed out, drunk on the floor.
Well, Digger found the booze, that's for sure.
He definitely did. Like, I thought he drank all the booze the day before, but I guess not.
No.
That's right. And she calls for an ambulance because Digger is down and out. Down and out, not in Beverly Hills either. He's down out in Dallas.
And then JR is writing a letter to someplace to visit their oil fields.
About visiting some country. I'm going to assume it's Asia.
I guess. I don't know. And he signs it JR of Ewing Enterprises. I know that.
Yeah, another reference to Enterprises.
Yeah.
And here's this scene is another dropping of another little thread or storyline.
Very true.
Bobby comes in, confronts JR about shutting down or cutting back production in East Texas oil fields. Bobby's ticked because JR didn't consult with him, and JR is like, and Bobby said, "What do you want, a showdown for control over the company?" Which
right, I feel like Bobby pushes. JR's not used to Bobby pushing back.
He's not.
Bobby he starts pushing back this scene. So JR's like,
right, you can't have 2 riders on a single. You can't have 2 riders on a single horse here. You know what I'm saying? A showdown for Ewing Oil. Gee, that would be interesting.
That would be. I wonder how that would go. And he's like, yeah, if you want to fight to see who's going to be like the boss and, then let's do it. And JR's like, okay, fine. Jesus, we'll talk about it in the future.
Put that on the idea wall. That could be an interesting
Weird.
thing.
That'd be a good storyline.
Yes. Back to true crime.
So we have a list of 4 employees in that time period that had the initials H and M. And so Cliff's like, okay, well, let's just go through them. Do you know any of these people? And the guy's like,
what is this? Like Deputy Neely? Deputy Neely. One is dead. Another moved away.
Yeah, so they end up with 2, and then he's like, well, I knew this one, Hutch McKinney. He was what was he? Something on South Fork. He was
a foreman on the South Fork.
On the South Fork.
On the South Fork.
It's kind of like the store and the bar and the restaurant.
Yep.
Ugh. That's insane.
And his name was Hutch McKinney.
Hutch McKinney. Apparently old Hutchy boy had a bad temper, and he and Jock, well, they hated each other. Because Jock fired his ass.
And then Cliff's like, really? Tell me more about this Jock hating him thing.
And Cliff says, do you think Jock could have killed him? And Fenton goes, that's enough, boy. You're way out of line. You're way out of line.
He's like, I'm going to get in so much trouble for this. Just stop. Then we cut to Sue Ellen at Dr. Danvers. And they're discussing if Sue Ellen can leave John Ross at South Fork or not.
Dr. Elby?
Oh, not sorry, Dr. Elby, not Dr. Danvers.
Oh, no. Digger is on oxygen and unconscious.
Oh, right, yes. Digger is.
And it's really too soon to tell if he'll recover because his body is very worn out from the drinking. And Cliff tells him that they're going to get the Ewings for what they've done to him. Yes. Let's just poke the fires of that Barnes Ewan feud.
Mm-hmm. So do you think Cliff's really going after this because he genuinely cares that there's a crime been committed, or is it because of the Ewings?
No.
It's totally because of the Ewings.
Okay. That's what I thought. But for people that don't really know the whole history, they've only watched first-time watchers, I guess. But it only gets so much worse than this over the next seasons. Right. Every possible thing they can do to each other, they do.
I think also this is Cliff's way of dealing with his emotions, probably, because I'm sure he's having like the fact his father's really sick and probably and he can't deal with it, so he's just focusing on all of his emotions on
occupying his time somewhere else.
He needs an outlet for these emotions.
Yes, an outlet. Thank you. Yeah. Yep.
I think that word.
And then, Sue Ellen is at Dr. Elby's.
he
And
still creeps me out, by the way.
She talks about how she had thought of leaving JR in the middle of the night. And I'm going, why don't you ask Valine how that worked out for her?
Right. And I'm sure she knows that story already, too. So.
And there is a scene on YouTube that somebody posted a link to from an episode of Knots Landing in the early seasons when Valine shows up with Lucy at Lily Mae, her mother's, and Lily Mae turns her away because she is with another man. And how would it look if this man who could possibly help her music career knew that she was a grandmother? Oh, God forbid. So she turns Valine away in the night. And as she's going off, the henchmen come, rip Lucy from Valine's arms, throw her in the back. They jump in the car and drive away. It looks like it's near a swamp or something. So they must have been in like Tennessee or Virginia, West Virginia. And
no, they were in like.
They were not in Texas.
They weren't Louisiana.
Louisiana, that's what I was thinking.
I thought they were in Louisiana. They have a
I
lot of
think they
connections
referenced
to
that before.
Louisiana. Yeah,
I'm almost positive that's where they were.
But they actually showed this scene on Knots Landing in an episode.
It was like a flashback thing or something.
A flashback scene.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And it was just it was disturbing. What is the worst possible thing he ever could have done? That is up there. Ripping a baby from its mother and leaving her out like in the mud, crying in the night after the poor woman's mother turns her away too. So Sue Ellen, I don't think that's going to work out for you, leaving him in the middle of the night with the baby.
No, because he'll find you.
Probably not. Yeah.
He will find you.
Right. So also Dr. Elby is worried that Sue Ellen is leaning on another man instead of herself.
Yeah, she
not
wants
unfounded.
What do y'all think about that?
She said, I'm going to leave the baby with Ellie and Pam and then come back for him because Dusty will help me. Dusty.
Right. But I don't think that
I think she loves Dusty, but I don't think that I think he's almost like her, what they call rebound guy.
Right. Definitely rebound guy. And she is leaning on him a lot.
He's a crutch.
Because she doesn't trust herself to be strong enough to do it. And I think that's Dr. Elby's concern. That not trusting herself.
Right. And I hope as the show continues that Sue Ellen can learn from this and try to be more self-sufficient and independent and lean on herself and develop an inner strength. And it's going to be interesting to see if that happens or doesn't happen
Yep.
I'm very excited about the next one. And then the next two are actually some of my favorites. So
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah.
That's right. I was thinking Louisiana though, for real.
She takes the baby and flees to Virginia and later to the home state of Tennessee.
Oh, so I was right. I said Virginia and Tennessee in the same thing. So
you said West Virginia.
Well, first I said Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee.
Whatever.
I covered all the bases.
Melody's had too many beers.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm so kidding.
2.
I was just blaming it on you, Mel.
2 many beers. 2. She had 2.
I had 32 ounces of beer.
Well, you had 32. I swear to God, I thought you were going to say that. I was like,
no, 32 ounces.
Now let's pound a bottle of Mad Dog. No.
What's that?
Oh my God.
It's not a quart. Is it a quart?
32 ounces? I don't know. I'm the worst about all that.
32 ounces a quart?
16 is a pint and 32 is a quart and 64 is a half gallon.
I've had a quart of beer at about 6.5% ABV. So yeah, I'm a little.
Yeah.
Right. True Crime Part 3 on Dallas.
Yeah, Cliff has the detectives now looking into the murder.
One of them's name is Gene. I got that.
Yeah, and they're so we have crimes that just happened a day or two ago that we need to solve, so we shouldn't be doing this. And Cliff's like, no, you should be doing this.
And take some metal detectors with you because I feel that they didn't do a good job out there.
Right. And his boss isn't thrilled about it either.
Right.
This is why I said they need a cold case department to just do this.
Right. And that just says that's the opposite. Sloan handed him the case earlier, knowing full well that Cliff hates the Ewings and was going to was like he was opening Pandora's box. Then he's like, no, but let's put that to bed for now and get back to these more recent cases.
Do you think Sloan, I don't know that much about Sloan. Do you think that he was trying to fuck over Cliff? Like he's giving him this to just divert him to doing this? To like
maybe. I didn't think about it like that, but maybe.
I just thought about that just now.
I did it all until you said that.
You know, because they're not the DA themselves, either of them.
Okay. Yeah. They just work for the office. So maybe.
They work for the office. And Sloan could see him as potential competition for the eventual job of DA.
Oh, see.
So throw him off the scent.
Right. Yes.
Get the more high-profile, more recent cases, while sticking Cliff with a cold case.
Mm-hmm. Get him like obsessed with this cold case that nobody else cares about.
And Sloan will get the more high-profile cases and look better for possible promotion to DA.
That makes a lot of sense.
That does make a lot of sense.
Oh, Cliff was waiting for something from Calder, who was working all night. And as he...
Oh, right.
Cliff does have the dental records, so they know it's Hutch McKinney.
Right.
And
McKinney!
As Calder's... as the scene is ending, Calder is pulling the cover off of something that looks like a sculpture. That's all I know at this point.
And this is where I'm like, also Cliff is wasting a shit ton of money on this.
A bust. Yeah.
He's like throwing money at this where like, I know that place doesn't have the money to be doing all this for a cold case.
Forgive me if we've already gotten there, but doesn't he tell the guy who's like sculpting, they tell the sculptor, he's like, I need it right away. The guy's like, well, it'll take all night. And he's like, I owe you, buddy.
Right.
Seriously, stay up and do it. I'm like,
stay up and do it.
All the overtime that he's paying him.
Whatever you have to do to get this guy to stay and like sculpt this guy to whatever.
Right. And so like the guy doesn't say like, I'm not going to ask for payment. He's just like, hey, I'm telling you I'm working overtime because I'd have to work all night.
Right. And Cliff's like, I owe you.
And Cliff's like, okay. So all this money you've just wasted.
It's so funny because you don't really know. I noticed that like you don't know exactly what he's working on and he only pulls the sheet up a little bit.
That's true.
It's like, what is under that sheet?
Mm-hmm.
It's Laura Palmer.
What's he doing?
No, that's plastic.
Lucy has a date and Jock wants to know who. And she's just like, it's somebody from school.
It is.
Yeah, it's your fucking prof, but okay.
You know, why didn't they come in to pick you up?
Yeah, and that's what Jock is like, oh, why doesn't he come?
He's probably 32.
They're like, why did you come pick you up? And she's like, well, he had to work late, so I'm going to meet him in town. And I'm like,
I don't like that. It's not proper.
I was like, okay, independent woman thing. And I put, again, Jock, you have no fucking clue, do you?
No, but that's the Southern gentleman thing.
No, he says, I just don't like the women of this family running around by themselves. That's all.
Yeah.
That's curmudgeonly Jock again.
But even though he thinks like that, do you think he's taking out that on Lucy because he's mad at Ellie about running around with him to mess the heart stuff?
The look that Ellie gives him when he says that is like,
leave her alone.
Yeah, it was totally directed to her, and she's like, "Fuck off."
Yeah. Right. She's like, leave her alone, Jock. I'm sure she knows like what she's doing. Blah blah. Well, not really, but you need to leave her alone.
Fuck you, Jock.
But no, fuck you, Jock. Exactly.
And then there's that porcelain dog and the sitting on the floor.
But no, that's the thing, and I'm sure the Ewings back then didn't have to worry about this, and people nowadays do. I mean, nowadays you want to meet somebody out somewhere in public. You don't want them coming to your house.
No, you don't want to know you live. Hell no.
You don't want a Luther Frick or Peyton Allen showing up again.
Well, no, and that's the difference because a lot of single women live by themselves now. They're not living with their mom and dad or with roommates or whatever. And so you don't know. You don't want some guy coming to pick you up on the first date. Like, you don't know if he's going to turn out to be some
Is
weirdo.
This going to show up later like a creeper?
Show up later? No. Yeah, and
and they will.
You. And they will.
Just be like, I was just in the neighborhood at 3 a.m.
Like, well, I've seen people in the movies do all this with like the boombox outside. I'm like, yeah, it's very, very 90s. Don't do it.
You're scaring me bad.
Yeah.
And then, so when Jock says that, Ellie, like, Lily, I don't know where that came from. Ellie just kind of gives him a look, and then she changes the subject to Digger. And
yes, how's Pam?
Yeah, how's Pam? And then Ellie reminds Jock that Digger used to be his friend and partner, and how she still considers Digger to be her friend.
And
I like that.
Jock scoffs at that.
He's like,
first he goes, Jock says, well, Digger never did take responsibility for his failures, which was like, ow.
You're like,
Well, that's so funny. I see so many similarities between Jock and JR. Jock is like he's more subtle about it. He's reserved, and JR's like, I mean, he's like verbal diarrhea. He says whatever the hell's on his mind, and people seem to accept it.
Right. Because
which is very frustrating. Because as a female, I would love to say half the shit that people like him do and say to this day, and I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Bobby stands up for Sue Ellen, and JR is not having it.
Stay out of my marriage.
Like, why? Why does he have to stay out of your marriage? You involve everybody else in yours.
You're bringing it up all the time. Other people can comment on it if you're going to bring it out there.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to bring.
Well, I think Sue Ellen's drinking again, but I don't want you involved. Really?
Like, she literally attacked you in the middle of the living room just last week.
She fucking tried to throw down with you in front of everybody, dude. And yet Bobby the following week is like, I thought you guys were getting along so well. Like, yeah.
Okay,
Bobby. We wanted to pick a fight so we could get out of the room and go fuck. I mean, come on, dude. No, that's not what happened.
You're trying to break up Bobby and Pam's marriage, so Bobby's going to stick his nose in your marriage, you know?
Yeah.
Basically.
You stay out of Bobby's marriage, he'll stay out of your marriage.
That is not even true, because JR will never stay out of that marriage.
Too many damn people in those marriages.
Yeah. And Digger is not looking good in the hospital. Pam has been with him forever in the hospital, and she's mad at Cliff because Cliff has been gone. He's been gone doing revenge shit all day.
He's looking like garbage.
Where have you been?
Where were you? And he says he's doing something for Digger. It's like, for Digger or for yourself, basically. And he tries to send her home. She doesn't want to go home, so he sends her out to the couch. Or she says she'll go out to the couch.
Send to the couch.
In the waiting room. But what I liked at the end of this scene was Cliff putting his hand on Digger's. It's just that tender moment.
What's his daddy?
It's his daddy.
And in the next scene, Sue Ellen's trying to say goodbye to John Ross.
Little John.
Oh my God.
Little John. And this is where we find out that she's called for Dusty to fly up from, is it San Angelo? Yeah. To help her. And she has to tell someone her plan. So at least she's telling someone who can't relay her plan.
Yeah, because the baby with his 2 teeth in his mouth does, is just like, Mama.
Right.
She's pouring her heart out to this infant.
The kid who's obviously been crying for a really long time, and then they just were able to get that shot of him looking up.
Yeah, and she like is like blah 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 blah. Mama's got to leave, but I'll come back. I swear.
Dusty's going to be a great father.
She tries to go, and he's.
I would never leave my child. I'm sorry.
No.
You haven't been exposed to someone like JRU.
I'd kidnap.
Your child.
I don't care. I'd pull a Valine in the middle of the night.
I would have taken it with me. I wouldn't have cared. I would have taken him.
I would have pulled a Valine with Dusty's help. Yep. I would have been like, be outside with a car at midnight. I'm going to take the baby and
We're flying in your private plane to the Bahamas, and we're never coming back.
That's out of the private
basically. And somewhere,
But then you got to think about it like this. Then she would be doing the same thing to JR that he's going to do to her. It's still a parent. So,
no,
but
I know.
But I wouldn't have left my child. So.
Right, I wouldn't do that.
I would have been like, you can come out here and see your kid, but I don't know if I trust you to take him because am I going to get him back?
Right.
She knows that she'll never see him again if something like that happens.
That comes up later, obviously.
Yeah. JR, I'm sorry, what's so hard about being a decent husband and father?
That's something super hard for him.
So many problems could be solved if you just keep it in your pants and not abuse your wife.
There's a lot of
that.
There's a lot of that.
Apparently that's too hard for you.
He runs an oil company. He's going to be drilling for oil all the time in more ways than one. Haven't brought that up in a while.
But then, so Sue Ellen,
I know.
So Sue Ellen pours her heart out, and she turns to leave, and the baby speaks.
Mama.
The baby says, Mama. And that makes her stop in her tracks.
Yeah. Yep.
As it would.
Mama.
It should.
Yep. And guess what? JR said his first words were going to be, where's Mama? Like I said, he got it half right.
Wow. Yep.
He said, Mama.
Yep. And they did skeletal reconstruction. That's what Cliff paid for.
Was that even a thing back then? I mean,
I guess it must have been. I was surprised by that, honestly.
They invented it.
They had anthropologists.
Yeah, I mean,
because they were digging up pyramids and tombs and stuff like that.
That's true.
But that had to be some mad cash, mostly to do that in a day or two.
And have you seen nowadays how far they've come with the computer things? They have taken and they've done. I've seen them. Recreations of what historical figures actually would have looked like Jesus and
the Elephant Man. I saw that one.
Did you see what Jesus would have looked like?
To me.
I did see the Jesus one. Yep.
I did not see Jesus. Is it
He's
not
a
like
Middle
what he
Eastern
looks
dude
like?
with a beard, olive skinned.
Middle Eastern dude.
Jesus was Middle Eastern dude. He wasn't white, blue-eyed Jesus like everybody.
Doesn't look like a white,
He's
blue-eyed.
the Middle Eastern dude with the olive skin.
Right.
No.
Yeah. For reals.
All right. So when they did the bust, he said he got the color of the eyes he guessed the color of the eyes because there were some strands of hair.
Right, which sounds like DNA, but they didn't really have DNA then. So I don't know.
Eye color from.
I don't think that they could. I don't know. I think that he was saying he had blonde hair, so we were thinking he probably had blue or green eyes or something, which is bullshit. I don't know because they didn't really have DNA then. They'd be able to do that now.
They did a gene marker test to find who
Twice.
John Ross's father was.
Yeah, but did that tell you what hair?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what the technology was.
There's those pictures.
Do you remember the Punnett square from biology? I mean,
yes.
God, yeah. I was like, why does that sound familiar?
No, I don't know what it is, but I remember the Punnett number. I probably failed the test.
Dominant and recessive genes.
Yes.
I figured out that I was a 2% chance out of all of the children my parents could have of having green eyes. 2%.
I have duty black. I have black as my soul eyes. It was blue eyes or green eyes.
50% of their kids would have had brown eyes. 48% would have had blue. 2% would have had green. I had green, and my brother has brown.
Blue's recessive, though. Green is more dominant than blue.
Swellen peels out of South Fork. We hear the screeching of the wheels, so we have to drink.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh shit! I don't have any.
I'm out of wine, but I'm gonna drink water.
Okay.
Actually, that was just an establishing shot, because we haven't had a screeching tires in a while. And so we go inside. Jock's wearing that brown leather jacket.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
That brown leather jacket, and Fenton is updating the Ewing men on Cliff's vendetta.
Yeah, and I feel like this is unprofessional. He's totally spilling the tea about an open investigation that the Ewings are a part of.
Right, which shows that
he should not be doing that.
He knows he's sheriff because of the Ewings. So he's
I feel like he's like, okay, you guys, I'm on your side in case shit goes down.
He's
I'm just
in
letting
their
you
pocket.
know.
He's trying to maintain job security.
I put down, they found the gun that killed Skeletor. I think that the gun may have been Jock's from the way they're describing
which we'll get because JR, he goes, Jesus Christ. They said,
are we not there yet? Sorry.
It's the next
derelict's body is found, and he's trying to make it look like the biggest case since Bonnie and Clyde.
It wasn't a derelict, though, man.
Right. And it was, so I don't know guns, but I wrote this down. It's a 1892 Colt 6-shot service revolver.
38 caliber
I don't know what
revolver.
double action means.
And when they describe that, Jock is like...
Josh is like...
that's where my gun went.
That's the gun that Grandpa Southworth gave me. Oh boy.
Yeah, he's like,
he's like,
and
so you guys need to like get on that and call in markers and get people to get clip off this case
because it was found 20 yards from the damn body. So
right. So it doesn't look good, Jack.
So somebody shot him and then was like, I'm going to toss the gun in the other direction.
Someone did a really piss poor job of being a murderer. I'm just going to say.
Like, dude, do not toss the gun 20 yards from the body.
I guess it worked out because it's been like
27
plus years and no one.
What did they say? 1952?
Right after the election.
With that stupid
it's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah. Okay. So, 1980, okay, it's been almost 30 years.
So we have the scene just to show that
they're doing that. They're calling in markers. Bobby's calling someone named Curly Hobson. I just want to call out all the crazy names in this episode because there's a lot of crazy names. Curly Hobson.
Wilbur Calder.
Other two like Punk Anderson.
And Murdo and Tiny. In the same scene. Murdo
Ferris and Tiny Hoyt. Tiny Hoyt is an investigator.
Do you ever think they just had a giant... Do you think they just ever had a giant wheel of syllables they just like spun it?
They just had a dartboard of like crazy fucking names and they threw a dart at it. Also, this is a fun fact that how the Bay City Rollers got their name is they threw a dart at a world map and it landed on Bay City, Michigan.
Really?
My hometown.
Mm-hmm. I did not know that. Fun fact. I did not know that.
That's crazy.
So Murdo,
that's awesome.
He comes in, give a statement of some sort, and the investigator Tiny Hoyt is there, who had been hanging up the pictures that were made from the replica of the bust, and he was hanging them up in a bar.
Oh, okay.
And Ferris saw it, and
is that how that happened? I didn't catch that.
That's how that unfolded.
Okay. And
the backstory was, it was November 1952, just after the election.
My birthday month.
Drinking in a bar. Jock came in and ordered Hutch off the ranch or he'd kill him.
He said it really loud in a bar. Doesn't look good, Jock.
Oh, okay. I said it at a bar in front of people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's really good. That's really good. So that gives the weapon,
motive,
and a motive. Motive and weapon.
Doesn't look good for Jockstrap Ewing.
And then we cut to Sue Ellen waiting for Dusty in that little apartment. He's not there. She looks a little nervous.
The suite and the exterior really looks like a crappy building.
I didn't notice that.
The exterior shot looks like just some generic crappy building.
The inside's nice though.
That's a nice inside for a crappy exterior. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sounds like. And she's got her fur coat and her suitcase, and she's running around.
And she's like, Dusty, where are you, Dusty?
Dusty, where's my Dusty? So then we go to another weird-looking office or weird-looking interior, Matt Devlin's office.
And that's where they're having lunch. They're having lunch like in this little private thing like that. Seems very romantic, Ellie.
She wants more. She wants to talk about more possible solutions for Mimosa Park. She's got Mimosa Park on the brain.
Yeah, she's like, let's talk about Mimosa Park because whatever is happening, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it. So,
and he goes, let's talk about what's really going on here.
While pouring her more wine in the middle of the day.
I have feelings for you, and you have feelings for me. And she's like, what the freaking hell are you talking about?
But also, she's okay. So she's saying that like, oh no, you got the wrong idea. But I don't know if that's true.
I think she was leading him on a little slightly.
Maybe. I feel like it was happening. She wasn't feeling, I mean, she obviously doesn't like him enough to do anything about it, but I think she does like him a little bit.
She was unintentionally leading him on without realizing it, but, and she doesn't have the same feelings, but then he's like, all right, let's just finish lunch.
Right. She's like, well, so maybe I should go because this is super awkward now. And he's like, just sit down and finish your lunch. I won't say anything more about it. And then she's like, okay.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Like, all right, then.
I'll keep my mouth shut except to open it and shove food in.
And drink that wine. I bet it's good wine.
Yeah. So back to the apartment and the news flash.
Yeah, Sulam's just sitting on the couch, minding her own business, and then the news is on.
And it's like, blah, 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 Dusty Farlow, son of blah, blah, and blah, 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 has been killed in a plane
Only
crash.
person on the plane.
Flying up from San Angelo, single engine plane, blah, blah. Yeah, and it was like...
Looks bad.
And they showed like footage of the wreckage, like all over this wooded area. And Sue Ellen's sitting there like,
yeah.
His parents have been notified, and his father is on the way to the crash scene.
Kind of like in shock.
Well, we wondered. Kristen wanted to push Sue Ellen over the edge, and this actually pushed her.
What you think, Chris? Did you think Kristen sabotaged his plane, or what? Where are you going?
No,
with
but
this?
she was looking for a reason to get.
I was like, that's pretty extreme.
For Sue Ellen to drink, but this is the one thing that would do it. She just like stands up, she has like tears streaming down her face, and she just like walks directly to the liquor.
And downs that first glass.
She pours a whole glass of, I'm assuming it's whiskey, a whole glass of it, and then just drinks it like it's apple juice. Like that doesn't look like alcohol at all.
Which from the prop department, thankfully it was, because if they had to take that 500 times, she would have been wasted.
And she said she hadn't had a drink since the baby was born, so she hasn't had a drink in 8 or 9 months. So that big ass glass after that long without any alcohol, she's gonna be lit.
She is, but how could and I really love whiskey, but you can't just down it like it.
She was like, "Fuck this! I have nothing to live for. Goodbye." Oh.
Even when I drink bourbon, I do shots. I just cannot.
And it stings. It stings. You're like, ooh,
Right.
Any hard liquor does for me. Anyway.
Which makes me wonder how I managed to put down with one other person an entire bottle of J.R. Ewing bourbon in one night.
It's totally possible. I've done that with my brother before.
Yeah. So we leave Sue Ellen with booze going down the throat.
Unfortunately.
We come to the final scene of the episode. Bobby pulls into the soundstage only to see Jock being arrested for Hutch's murder and Hutchinson. And Bobby is standing in the background looking like he's on the set of High Noon, ready to like pull out guns out of his pocket.
This is Bobby. I don't know.
It's Bobby Ewing. And
he's always ready for any kind of action.
Right. And the episode ends with the to be continued and the extreme close-up
of Jock's face. It just keeps getting closer.
You can see, you can count the pores in his face.
It's crazy.
And the eyes just popping out of his skull.
He is not thrilled.
Barnes, what the hell are you doing?
Not thrilled.
Lee Rich.
And then the voiceover. To be continued.
Which sounds so
cheesy.
Late 70s, early
definitely.
80s.
Yeah.
And that will conclude.
Concludes the
Jocks
episode.
Trial Part 1.
That will conclude the episode.
Coming up next on the Ewing Barbecue Podcast.
Part 2.
Jocks Trial Part 2.
Which these episodes don't really do much for me.
Yeah.
But later they do. So.
I will give this one. I'm going to give this like a 3.5 and fabulous fur coat.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay, I'm going to give it a 3. I said 3.5 also, but I was going to give it a 3.5 and Lucy fucking her professor.
That was my alternate.
My alternate was this.
Okay, I am going at least a 4.5. It's brought down because of Matt Devlin scenes. And I am giving it a 25 to 30-year-old skull with a bullet still lodged in it.
Okay. Mel?
I did 3.5 as well, and Sue Ellen's sobriety chip.
Oh. Damn it. I should have said a fiery helicopter crash. Oh. That was my third choice.
I went there. I'm sorry, girl.
Yeah,
but
that's all right. Yeah.
I would have done the same fucking thing.
I mean,
I would have too.
Of course.
I would have too, but damn, she did so good for so long.
She was doing so well. God damn it.
And this starts the new unravel.
And that's why I put it up at a 4 or 5, because I know that it is pulling everything towards a conclusion for the season.
We're getting there. We only have
3 episodes
left. Yeah, 3 episodes.
This was episode 51, and it's 54 that is the...
And it's a twofer.
Season finale.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And please join us online because on our Facebook group, we've been posting things that we don't post other places. Some like outtakes and stuff. So we'd love you to do it.
You have? What?
Yes, you saw that.
I did.
Yeah.
I need to look.
It's from a while ago, but
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, join our stuff and we'll see you next time. Until then, bye.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
Word to your mother. I mean, I don't know.